Yesterday, while I was perusing through Twitter's rather ridiculous update that has me confused and annoys me because the only way I can copy a link from a tweet is via the phone app as opposed to the browser, thank you Twitter, I couldn't help but notice BBC had tweeted out this. Now this is interesting. In fact, it caused a lot of people that I knew to retweet it, with the words, yes. Unfortunately, and I also retweeted yes, unfortunately, a considerable number of those that replied to it disagreed, because they believe if a man can get aroused, a man can consent to sex. There's a name for this. There's a term. It's why, again this week, 4 times in a row I am wearing my judge outfit. 4 times. It feels like lazy editing. I may have to get Christina Prime to do the fully animated version of this, because I'm getting a bit annoyed using a still. But it is appropriate that with something I would consider injustice, or justice related, that Judge Moist is brought out. The term, though, by the way, is victim blaming, because of course it is totally down to the brain chemistry that an erection happens, and therefore because the erection has happened, that is consent. For women, we have to fill in paperwork, application forms, get approval from government officials, and pay undoubtedly a deposit to have access to the vagine. But for a man, it's simply, got wood? Let's go. He's asleep, but he's got wood. Let's go. And then a woman gets pregnant, courtesy of these actions where they have taken a ride on the wood train without the man's consent and or knowledge, and he has to now pay child support for something he didn't want. So the question on the article, if a woman forces a man to have sex, is that rape? Yes. Now there is an article of a woman who held a gun to a man's head. She held it to his head, and I did a video on this, where it was stated as sex. She forced him to put his penis inside her. No control about the erection, so I guess we can negate that discussion, but we'll certainly come back to it later. Is it sexual assault? Yes. She has forced him to do something he didn't want to do and proved the point that you do not need much in the way of brain chemistry to get an erection. If you'd like proof of that, go ask Pfizer, who make those wonderful little pills, those little blue ones, that help men get a boner when they ordinarily couldn't. It's not about brain chemistry, it's something far simpler. Made to penetrate and forcible envelopment have been regularly used by MRAs and those who believe men deserve rights in this area to urge the government to take action via petitions on the .gov website to include this in the law. Many law students that appear in my comments whenever I talk about it say, but the law does, when it really doesn't. We know this because of the inconsistent sentencing and how it is treated. If someone is made to penetrate, that is sexual assault. If somebody is forcibly enveloped, it is sexual assault. No ifs, no buts, no fuss, no muss. It is actually rape. It is why this will be the 4th video in a row to get demonetized. Smash the like button. The point is, the fact it's taken this long for somebody to make an article on this subject is interesting, and the response is absolutely astonishing. I'm going to link the tweets that I've archived, the responses. I'm not even going to show them. It is ridiculous. It is victim blaming of the highest degree, unironically done, from people who think that it's okay to say that, but not okay to say, yeah, but what was she wearing? Do you get it? I know someone's now going to say, oh, but that's a false equivalence. No, it's not. Shut up. You are a blithering idiot, a moron, a absolute twat, if you think that. With this tweet, this article you have linked, you have confirmed and justified, verified, absolutely put the nail in the coffin that gives MRAs a good reason to exist. And that's a good thing, because now a discussion is happening because the BBC has finally done something I didn't expect. They have talked about it. Now if we go to the article follows Dr. Siobhan Weir of Lancaster University Law School, who started carrying out research into forced penetration in 2016 to 2017, where she gathered information about more than 200 men via an online survey. In her latest study, which she only published this week, based on one-to-one interviews with 30 men between May 2018 and 2019, she explored in greater detail the context in which forced penetration occurs, the consequences and the response of the criminal justice system. Allow me to demonstrate the response of the criminal justice system. Me. Ha 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 ha, get fucked. One of the people interviewed and giving a story in this particular article was in a relationship and would self-harm and demand sex. This is, while a form of manipulation and abuse, sexual as well. That is wrong. You don't demand sex. It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship. You do not have the right to someone else's body, even in a relationship. It is, after all, built on trust and not manipulation. There is more to John's story, the one referenced in the article, like his partner handcuffing him and tying him up with nylon to try and have sex with him, beating him up with a loudspeaker. And his story just gets worse and worse throughout the article. It's disgusting. Some of the findings in Weir's articles and studies include that men are often ashamed to report forced to penetrate experiences. They may report domestic abuse without mentioning the sexual abuse. There is a stigma around this, and it is still something we as a society need to work on. The mental health impact that is severe, which includes PTSD, thoughts of suicide and sexual dysfunction. Imagine my fecking shock. Some men report being repeatedly victimized, some experienced childhood sexual abuse, some had endured varying types of sexual violence from different perpetrators, including men, and many had overwhelming negative perceptions of the police, criminal justice system and the law. Does this not sound eerily familiar to anyone? Does it not sound or reek of something that we all know oh so well, that has been regularly touted by the bedroom feminists of 2015, and the same feminists of current year who stand up supposedly for equality while living in their mansions and ivory towers? This kind of rhetoric is eerily familiar because it has been used for years. Understandably so. But now we have something that comes up that affects men as well, and it takes an article from the BBC, one of the most biased sources of news in the country, for anyone to take notice, and what we see is a giant line down the middle. Right down the middle. Where some say, but men can control an erection. Okay, I've been punched on the dick before, and I got an erection. And it wasn't because they were female, it was just something that happened. I know people that have sat in a car and gone over a speed bump and gotten an erection, not me. But you know what I mean? Shocks to the system that cause the body to react. It just happens. It is not what it is perceived to be, you ignorant fecks. It is absolutely damning and a truly sorry sign for the current state in the United Kingdom that people have this perception and think it's okay to unironically condemn guys for feeling the same thing female victims of rape feel and experience. One of the myths that Weir dispels in her research is that forced penetration is impossible because men are physically stronger than women. Another myth includes that men can have an erection, that must mean that they want sex, with Weir proving that an erection is purely a physiological response to stimulus. I think I proved that a second ago, with her being quoted as saying men can obtain and sustain an erection even if they are scared, angry and terrified. There is also research that shows women can respond sexually when they are raped, because their body's responding physiologically. This is an issue for both male and female victims that is not discussed enough, but there is clear evidence in this area. Many also pointing out, and this might sound eerily familiar as well, in the 2017 study that Weir did, forced to penetrate experiences after getting extremely drunk or high happened quite a lot and were being unable to stop what was happening. A lowering of one's inhibitions and having advantage taken of them. Where have I heard that before? And if I'm sounding a bit annoyed, I'm pretty sure at this point I actually have a good reason to be after scrolling through all those cancerous tweets. It is quite frustrating to go through all of that and notice how utterly intellectually stunted some people are. I'm glad the BBC put this article out there. It is truly fascinating. I think if you are interested in understanding this better, by all means, read the article. It's really good. A video was done by Carilius Valentinius on this as well. I will link his video below. It's really good. He references the regular petitions done on the .gov websites. I know he's published one of them himself. I know the government usually responds with, the current law is good enough. Well, it isn't. Apparently you are inadequate as the law. And to end on some cringe, I am the law. Change this now.